With 2025 right around the corner, I want to share what I think are the 7 best no annual fee credit cards on the market currently that are guaranteed to add value to your wallet. And just a heads up, this list is in no particular order, and of course it is solely my opinion, so be sure to comment down below whether you agree or disagree with some of my takes. But getting right into the first card on our list today, this is going to be the Discover It Cashback card. And why I really like this card is because it's virtually good everywhere you spend, just being dependent on the time of the year. With the card, you can lock up 5% cashback on a rotating quarterly category depending on that time of the year. And in 2024, I think that Discover had some really good groupings, so if they match what they offered this year into next year, this card's going to be able to earn you a ton of cashback. In quarter 1, this covered drugstores and restaurants, while in quarter 2, this shifted over to gas stations, EV charging, and home improvement stores. Quarter 3 included Walmart and grocery stores, while quarter 4 is currently allowing you that 5% back on Amazon and at Target. Aside from that 5% back on those rotating categories, you'll also earn 1% cash back everywhere else that you do spend. And a key note here, if you don't carry this card already and are looking to get it, Discover will actually cashback match every single dollar you earn during the entire first year. That effectively means you'll be able to earn 10% cash back on those rotating categories and 2% back everywhere else you spend. The only small drawback I really see with this card is if you were looking to maximize points for travel, say like you do with Amex or Chase, Discover isn't necessarily the best system for that. You'll be limited more towards just having that cash back for gift cards or straight cash back. Moving on to card number 2 on our list today, this is the US Bank Cash Plus Visa Signature Credit Card. With the card, you can earn 5% cash back at 2 categories of choice each quarter. You can earn 2% cash back on an everyday category of choice each quarter, then fall back on the 1% back everywhere else you spend. And for some categories you can use for that 5% back, there's fast food, home utilities, internet, department stores, cell phone plans, electronic stores, and a couple others listed on the screen. And then for that 2% category, you can use it for grocery stores, EV charging and gas, or restaurants. So depending on where you do spend typically, you have the opportunity to earn a lot of cash back. But the reason it's earned a spot on today's list is because I think if you're able to plan ahead some of these big purchases to line up where you can get that 5% back, you're going to be racking up a ton of cash back very quick. And similar to that Discover card, the only big drawback I can see with this card is if you do plan on using points for travel, you are going to be a bit limited with US Bank. They do have their own portal, but in terms of the value you can get out of all the cash back and points, you are going to be limited and would be better off going with a system like Chase, Amex, Citi, or one of those bigger issuers. But now let's jump ahead to card number 3 on today's list, which is going to be the Citi Custom Cash. And in my personal opinion, this is by far the best flex and utility credit card on the entire market. I think that it's extremely versatile for this one reason. You can earn 5% cash back at a category of choice every single billing cycle. Now the only parameter here is that category of choice will be your highest spend category. So if you just plan ahead and only use that card where you want to earn the most back, say on groceries or on gas, you're locking up 5% back there and then 1% cash back everywhere else. And while I truly don't recommend only carrying this credit card if you're looking just to carry one, I do think that if you pair it up with 1 or 2 other credit cards, it becomes one of the best cards on the entire market. And if I personally were to use this card myself, I would write down where I'm earning cash back across all of my other credit cards and see where there's any gaps or holes in my lineup. Let's say there's one for gas, I would then substitute this card in to earn that 5% back guaranteed every single month. And there really isn't much else to say about this card. If you do plan on expanding to a bigger trifecta later down the road, the Citi Custom Cash is part of that Citi trifecta. And if you do want some value for travel, Citi does have a great amount of value you can get with around 1.6 cents per point when redeemed for travel. Now looking at card number 4 on today's list, this is going to be the Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. And similar to some of the cards that we've seen previously today, I think that this is a great flex and utility option, as you can earn 3% cash back at a category of choice each quarter, 2% back at grocery stores and wholesale clubs, and 1% cash back everywhere else you spend. And just to highlight a couple of options you can use for that 3% back, you can get it for gas, EV charging, online shopping, internet, travel, home improvement, and some more. Additionally, if you are a Bank of America Preferred Rewards member, you'll get another 25 to 75% on top of all the cashback you're already earning with the card. This would bump that 3% category to around 3.75 to upwards of 5.25% cashback, that 2% category to 2.5 to 3.5% cashback, and that 1% category to 1.25 upwards of 1.75% cashback. And I really do like the flexibility with it, and especially that 2% back at grocery stores, but really that 2% at wholesale clubs. That's something that's typically excluded on a lot of cards unless they are set up with a wholesale club like the Costco Citi card. So I do like that you can get that without having a co-branded card. And once again, just the flexibility that you can interchange and play around with these categories for bigger purchases so you can line things up to get the most cash back. And a similar note to some of our other cards today, for travel, this probably is not your best option if you want to take points, redeem it for travel with the most value there. However, for just cash back, I think that you cannot go wrong getting this credit card. Let's move on to card number 5 on our list today, which is going to be the Bilt Mastercard. And this is a card that I've personally carried now for around a year and a half. And the reason I love it is because it excels at what it's intended to do. Right now, the Bilt card is the only credit card on the entire market to let you earn cash back on your rent without any extra transaction fees. On top of that, this card will also allow you to earn 3 times points back on your dining purchases, 2 times points back on all of your travel purchases, and 1 times points everywhere else you spend with the card. There's also a special rent day celebration on this credit card, which will double every single category at the start of every month on the 1st. And I really like this point is it makes that dining and travel categories go up to 6x and 4x respectively, and then a catch-all is 2x just for a day. And the reason I'm such a fan of this is because if you plan out your travel or nice dinners out, you can double the cash back you're earning, especially with that 4x back on your travel for a no-fee card. And then there's also this Bilt Protect feature, which won't leverage the amount of credit that they give you when you do go to pay your rent, which basically will work like a debit card, taking money straight from your account. And in my personal case, I do only use this card when I have to. I typically pay my rent with it every month, and then for other purchases, as Bilt does require you to spend with the card 5 times per month in order to earn your cash back. And while I am not the biggest fan of this point on the card, I do think that it is reasonable and not that difficult to hit. With that being said, I think that the Bilt card excels with what it aims to do, being a card for your rent. On top of that, when you do earn your points, you actually have access to 18 total transfer partners, 13 airlines, and 5 hotels with this Bilt card. That is pretty uncommon on a no-fee card to give you access to those partners. And one last thing, every single point that you do have with Bilt is valued at around 1.922 cents per point, which is around the highest on the entire credit card market. This is personally one of my favorite cards, and I think it's very well justified to look at it getting going into 2025. Moving on to card number 6 on our list today, this is going to be the Wells Fargo Autograph Credit Card. Now, there's a couple reasons that I really do like this credit card, but probably the biggest one is because of these spending categories. With the card, you're able to lock up 3 times points back on your dining, travel, gas and EV charging, transit, popular streaming services, and on your cell phone plans. And I truly think that the autograph card can offer you a lot of cash back at common places to spend, like on that dining, but also having those categories like the cell phone plans is pretty unique, as not a lot of cards do that, especially ones with no fees. And outside of those multipliers, I should also mention, you'll fall back on the 1 times points back everywhere else you spend. And the second reason I like this card is because it is part of a larger setup with Wells Fargo that can be built with no fee entirely. This setup is of course the Wells Fargo trifecta, which has the active cash, a tune, and one of the autograph cards. In this case, we're looking at the autograph with no fee, not the autograph journey. And similar to our card that we just saw, this no fee card will actually grant you access to some transfer partners, albeit the list that you get with Wells Fargo is very limited, with 6 total, 5 airlines, and 1 hotel. And the cashback value of each point you do earn is around that 1.5 cents per point mark, which is not terrible. However, you would get more value with other systems with where Wells Fargo currently stands in the transfer partner game. But truthfully, I think that you can't really complain about that point because you are getting access to transfer partners with no fee. Now moving on to our 7th and final card for today's list, this is going to be the Chase Freedom Unlimited. Now this is another card that I do carry and probably use the most frequently out of all the cards in my wallet, largely due to it being part of the Chase trifecta, which does give you a ton of value back when you do redeem for travel. And even if you don't have that trifecta set up and are just looking for one card to cover you everywhere, I do think that the Freedom Unlimited is a great option for that. With the card, you can lock up 1.5% cash back everywhere you spend, 3% back on your dining and drugstore purchases, and 5% on all of your travel purchases when you go through Chase. So while your catch-all category at 1.5% might not be at what a lot of others are at 2%, I do think that you get a ton of value with that 3% on those two categories, and especially on that travel. And as I mentioned before, it is part of the Chase trifecta, which is a pretty affordable, beginner-friendly setup for travel. It's the one that I use and a lot of other people online do recommend. So if you're interested in looking into that a little bit more, be sure to check that out, and I'll also have a video linked up above and down below on the trifecta. But before you click off the video, be sure to comment down below which no-fee cards you would recommend to others as we head into 2025. If you want to learn more on that Chase trifecta, check out this video right here. If you guys could also go hit like and consider subscribing if you found today's video helpful in any way, it really helps with growing the channel. I greatly appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see you in the next video.